Welcome to Fortune Cookies Tarot. I'm Annabelle. I'm a tarot practitioner for over 35 years. And in this Toxic Bride series, I might get myself in trouble because we're going to be talking about Marilyn Monroe. We're going to do two. And I know she was married 3 times. Allegedly, there was another marriage in there, according to some conspiracy theorists. I'm sorry, I'm all crooked here. I didn't realize how crooked I was, but crooked psychic. So I don't want to talk about her first marriage. That was a marriage of convenience. She was 16, I believe, and it was so she wouldn't go back into the system. It really was a situation that was crafted to prevent her from having to go back into state care. So, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But her marriage to Joe DiMaggio was very cute, very well publicized, lots of people talking about it. Was she a toxic bride in this situation? We're going to take a look at it. So, thank you all for being here. I hope you're having a great day. Please like, share, and subscribe. I've lost 34 subscribers in the 10 days since the election because someone is targeting my videos and wrecking them. I don't know if it's because of my political affiliation. I am a libertarian, so you guys can suck it because I'm not one way or the other. I voted Democrat, I voted Republican. I've taken bits and pieces from both. So if you're critical of me because of my politics, you can suck it. Suck it. So how unpleasant am I? This election has made me bananas. So, all right, let's pull up the card view. We're going to use the Pulp Tarot in this reading because it just feels like a really appropriate deck for Marilyn Monroe. So let's take a look. We're going to look at the whole timeline of the relationship. So they were set up by their management. So let's get a bird's eye view of first impressions. Let's do first impressions. I already know Joe's socks were knocked off the minute he saw her. Never saw someone so beautiful in person. She's all glittery and sparkly. So what did Joe think? Let's look. The Hierophant. This is the queen to my king. Now, keep in mind, he was at the top of the world in terms of baseball. If you look at the pictures of him, and the picture I put on was them in their cars. They were driving away, and he looks positively giddy. But if you look at other pictures of them, he just worships her. Now, according to legend, he sent flowers to her grave every week until he died. And on his deathbed, he said, "I'm finally going to get to see Marilyn." Oh, it's like gives you chills. So first impression, he was like, "This is the beginning of my legacy." He was immediately planning for their future immediately, but he knew that he had to kind of take his time with that. Now, culturally, he is a heavy-handed individual, and I don't mean that in kind of the A word kind of way. But he was chivalrous to the nth degree. Let's put it that way. He really did think that it was his job to take care of her. I don't think that he recognized how much of an independent spirit she was and how much she had to be an independent spirit in the industry that she was in. There's some deniability of, the men that have come before him. So, whoops. And I just sloppy shuffled all over the place. So I think he really did kind of delude himself that, okay, this is a girl for me and no one else. I think he did delude himself. So but if there's such a thing as love at first sight, even though that's like a chemical reaction, what is going on? I can't even pick up my cards today. If there's love at first sight, I think he was there. He was like, I can't really wait on this. I got to lock this down. I got to make sure that I keep this gal broad in some sense. Broad. No, he would never have called her broad. What were her first impressions? Her first impressions. So she did think that he was very appealing. There was something of the adulation that kind of rolled off him was very appealing, but I don't think that she found him very sexually attractive. And I think the business of not really, it wasn't that she didn't know, she just didn't care about his level of celebrity because it was a world that she wasn't interested in. Sports, baseball was just not a world that she really had a vested interest in. And she was like, okay, well, if he's a hot shot over there, that's fine. I don't need to take the temperature on that because I am the biggest hot shot in the room. I do think that she thought he was dating up. We all have situations like that where we see friends that are dating up or down and we're like, oh, what are you doing? And I think she thought this was a dating up kind of situation. So where was it that he finally wooed her? Where was it that he finally wooed her over? So she had some kind of a bad day. And while she did not discuss finite details, finite, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say minute details. That's what I'm trying to say. She didn't discuss minute details of her work. She reserved that for other people, like her makeup artist. Makeup artist knew a lot. I can't, his name is escaping me because I'm not even thinking about him right now, but her makeup artist knew a lot. She would discuss a lot with him. But there was a discussion that she had with him, and his response was, well, my management would do this. And it was at that moment that she said, maybe there's something here. Protection with that Four of Pentacles, Nine of Swords, layers of protection between her and the negotiation. So basically, it was his offering that, well, if you had representation similar to mine, what you could do is make the bullets, let them fire them. So I really hope that that's not like a thing that tickles the algorithm here at YouTube, because I say it all the time. But it was essentially something that he said about the level of protection that would be offered if they were a power couple, that she would be able to make decisions and then have really tough individuals go in and put their foot down and say, no, this is non-negotiable. There's something about her ability to negotiate. There's an emotional quality to it that was becoming less and less effective. So that was kind of the offer. And I'm not saying like he said, let's get married so that my management can protect you. But it was, let's become a power couple, even though that wasn't a terminology that was used. And in that sense, you can have more of a machine around you, a protective element that will be able to go and do these negotiations. So I don't think it was really like an on the street kind of protection thing, but it was really about business. So we get married, and he expected her to be a little bit of a homebody. Whoops. She's not really a homebody. Like, she's, she likes the fame. She likes the fame. So when did the magic wear off? In the inequity of the relationship. Now, within that chivalrousness that Joe had with her and the protective quality, what wasn't in the fine print and what she didn't see or deduce was that there would be some level of subjugation. We're going to put you behind this protective wall so that you can be safe and preserved. And like the Nine of Pentacles, kept lady, you do give up some freedom because of that. There's the Sun card, Four of Cups. There was an expectation of making her a bit more one-dimensional, less accessible. Now, in the heyday of Hollywood, they really were preserved from a lot of the crowd crush that we can see now. it was much more exclusive. They did interact with fans. That's not to say that they didn't, but it just didn't have the danger element that we have now, or the heightened sense of paranoia. So, for her to kind of get behind that was a little bit difficult, making her a more one-dimensional character, versus someone who is just kind of tra-la-laing from here to there, having some level of discussion of her likes and wants. It was really just smile and wave and perform in the movies and don't talk a whole lot to reporters, interviewers, people on the street, people around her. There was an attempt to isolate her, and this is again where the magic wore off, an attempt to isolate her to protect her, not necessarily to keep her to himself, but she did not like it. So we run into that kind of a thing. So I think he had the best intentions there. I will say, we're not going to go too much into where things became physical with them, dangerously physical. We'll skim over that just for the algorithm here. We don't want to get in trouble. But what was her response to this restrictiveness? Temperance. She thought it was going to be temporary. She did not like it. Four of Swords. It's a time to rest and hang out. The Tower. I think she started to realize that this was going to be disruptive to her visibility, and she wanted to get back. There was a certain amount of fear that the public would discard her, and that if she waited too long, she wouldn't be able to come back into the limelight. The career was not over yet. It was not over yet. She wanted to get back out there. She wanted to scratch that itch, and she realized that this domesticity was not really her forte. It just wasn't something that really satisfied her. Now, I don't know if they tried to have children, but I do feel like there was some conflict about having children, trying to have children right away. I think there was some conflict about that. It was almost like they tried and then got some bad news that they weren't going to be able to do it very much. That it would. There were some issues there. There's something going on there. Inside of the womb seems very rocky. I'm going to say that. It just seems very, there's a lot of pits and little crevicey areas inside the womb. It's not very smooth, not very, it doesn't get soft and receptive. It stays rocky. So I think there was something about that was, even though the diagnostics just wouldn't be able to show that at the time, but there was something about that, like, if you want to try, just try casual, like, I don't know, it's very strange. And I think that, her resistance to being cloistered she was very kind of restless about it, like kind of walking around the house, not knowing what to do. She was reading a great deal, but I think every time she sat down to read, there was like a call to do something else. Like the clock went off and she had to go and make dinner, or there was some expectation of her wifely duties. And she had to keep abandoning her books. There's a little seat by a window that it's one of her happiest moments, is she would sit by the window and read. But I do think that was with Arthur Miller. I think that was up in their place. I think they had a place in Connecticut. There's a lovely little window that you could look out and see, this beautiful little tree and yard. And that was something that she very much enjoyed. And that was something she was trying to do here with Joe, but it was kind of impossible. Every time she sat down, like the TV went on, or the TV was in that room, and or the room that she would try and read in, and she would kind of get up and go into the other room, and then he would get hungry and come in and say, hey, can we get a snack here? Like it's just, he really did expect her to shift gears in a way that is not possible. There's no kill switch on awesome. And it was just not possible. There was that desire to be out and be public. He thought her career was extraordinarily negative. Can't you see how they used you? Can't you see what they did to you? Can't you see this? Why can't you see this? And the more he pushed, the more she would push back. So this is where toxicity starts, I think. So do we have, because it is a question, do we have a toxic bride here? Did she become toxic at this point when he was like, the career is over, you're mine? Which sounds terrible, but I think he did it with the best of intentions. I think, again, you know, chivalrousness can be confused with, you know, isolation and narcissism. So I think his intention was to be so chivalrous, but I think he just picked the wrong gal. He picked the wrong gal. He did think that she was lovely, though. He was stunned by what she looked like at all times. Hated when she drank. Hated when she drank and took pills. So did she become toxic at this point? Page of Cups. She tried. There's our toxic card. Yeah. Oh, and there's that Nine of Pentacles that I was talking about before. So, and Five of Wands. So the pinning down of her did in fact make her a toxic bride, but what it was not cogent or well thought out or a well crafted argument or plan. She was very much functioning from a hyper emotional, hypersensitive aspect, and I do think that the vitriol and the rage that he saw, and there was, you know, this pushed her into some instability, a period of instability. So I think that all of that, you know, she ascribed some of his actions to actions of others that she had dealt with in Hollywood. And she became unhinged, unfortunately. Best case scenario, he should have dialed it back a little bit and let her do some smaller things. But this was a Marilyn that he did not recognize. He did not recognize because their goals were no longer in alignment. She was ready to go back into the lion's den, and he did not understand why she would want to inflict that kind of injury on herself. So the more he tried to protect her, the more toxic she became. So that's a sad story. That's a sad story. One last thing. Were they well met on the other side? Were they well met when Joe passed? No. I think that, look at all these reversals. I think that they both passed on to the next incarnation without interacting in the in-between. I think they I think Joe, I think she had already passed on, correction. She was still in the in-between, but she was still working out the planning. There's a lot that had to go on there for the next lifetime. And by the time Joe got there, she was gearing up to move on to the next level, the next incarnation. Ooh, I'm getting a horrible headache from this, guys. And I don't think that they were well met. I don't think that they're going to meet in the next lifetime. I think they need a break from each other a little bit. So there was some anger on her part for the way that things went. They were just not energetically cohesive. So better luck next time. In the meantime, I will do the Arthur Miller Toxic Bride section. So Arthur Miller, I have some opinions about him. I love his work, but I think he was kind of a JO in this situation. So we will see. But thank you for being a part of this series. I hope you are enjoying it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Marilyn Monroe, I am a fan. I am a fan. I think How to Marry a Millionaire is one of the greatest movies ever made. It's hilarious and funny and awesome and charming. And I do think Some Like It Hot is a movie that everyone should see. And I think she's pretty much wonderful. I think, as an actress, as someone, an icon in the industry, she really was carving some paths out there. And, I do think that her interaction with the Kennedys was terrible and her undoing. But there it is. So see you in the next one. I'll see you in the Arthur Miller one. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you later.